guys, and welcome back here to Drone Emotion, a channel where we do drone videos and where we cover the most relevant drone news. Today my friends, we're back here once again with a brand new video and a very exciting one to say the least, and that is because in today's video we're going to be talking about the DJI Mini 3. That is right, there has been a lot of talk recently regarding the DJI Mini 3 and whether or not it will be releasing this year. In today's video we're going to be telling you if it's actually going to be releasing or not in 2021, and also we're going to be discussing the possible specs that the drone might have, as well as pricing and release date, guys. So today's video is going to be packed with some very exciting information. But before we get started with today's video, if you're new to the channel, welcome here. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because in this channel we will always be the first ones to bring you the latest drone news no matter what. And also, we're in the road to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the Drone Emotion family so you can help us get to that goal, which we're really not that far away from, guys. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and right into this video, which is going to be quite exciting. So there has been a lot of talk recently regarding the DJI Mini 3, and I think this particularly after we saw the launch of the Hobson Sino Mini Pro. This is Hobson's latest drone, and I mean the specs are truly staggering and mind-blowing to say the least. And that is because this drone has optical avoidance in the front, in the back, and downward also. It has 48 megapixel pictures, it has a 40-minute flight time, it has active track, and it has all of the features that we wanted to see on the Mini 2, but DJI did not give us. And I think that drone will definitely be great. Now, that drone has not been delivered to customers yet. Hopefully, let's cross our fingers that Hobson is able to deliver the drone with the specs that they promised. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the possibilities of a DJI Mini 3. Are we going to be seeing a DJI Mini 3 in 2021 this year? In order to answer that question, we need to go back and see previous DJI drone releases, particularly the DJI Mini lineup. Now, most DJI drones, with some exceptions to the rule, have a lifetime of around 2 years. Although that has been broken by DJI this year after we saw the release of the Air 2 GS after just 1 year of seeing the Air 2, and also with the Mini, where they decided to launch the original Mini back in November of 2019. Then we saw the Mini 2 exactly 1 year later in November of 2020. Now, it will only make sense to see a Mini 3 in 2021. It looks like this is becoming something like an Apple thing with their iPhone, where they release a brand new iPhone every year with some subtle changes, and I think DJI might be working on going towards that route. And if case that is the case, I think that's definitely something I like and I agree with, because I always like to see some new innovation with drones. Now, I think that the Mini 3 will happen this year, but in order for it to happen, I think that Hobson needs to come out with their drone and deliver the specs that they promised. I think that if Hobson fails doing this and they're not able to deliver half of what they promised, and the Mini 2 is still out there with some really good specs, I think that there's no need for a Mini 3. Now, I think that if Hobson is able to release and deliver the Hobson Sino Mini Pro with the specs that they promised, I think we're going to be seeing a Mini 3 without a doubt. I think there's no doubt about it, and that is because the Sino Mini Pro is going to eat some sales of the Mini 2, and DJI does not like that. And also, upon seeing the previous Mini drone launches, I think a Mini 3 will be scheduled to launch in November of 2021, guys. Now, let's talk about the specs and pricing. What specs are we going to be seeing with the Mini 3? Now, the problem with the Mini 2 is that this drone is under the 249 gram mark. Now, the question you're all asking, how in the world is DJI going to be able to fit new stuff onto the Mini 2 if the weight is very limited, guys, DJI had a trick under their sleeves. Don't think they're not that intelligent. They're extremely intelligent. These guys know what they're doing. And that is because the Mini 2 is actually way below the 250 gram mark. And that is because the Mini 2 weighs less. So let's go ahead and take a look at how much this Mini 2 drone actually weighs. Right here on the screen, guys. There we have it. So the Mini 2 with its battery inside weighs 236 grams, meaning that DJI still has some weight to play around with, around 13 grams left in order to pack some new features onto the Mini 2. Now, will we be seeing the same platform, or will we be seeing a completely redesigned drone? And I would personally like to see something at least some bigger changes, because with the Mini 1 and the Mini 2, the changes on the outside were really not that big. I mean, from looking at far away, you can really not tell between a Mini 1 and a Mini 2. You need to go up close, look at the camera, inspect it, the color of the props and the controller. So I would definitely like to see a redesign of the drone, although I think that's not that likely. I think DJI is going to be sticking with the Mini 1 and Mini 2 platform. I don't think the shell is going to be changing whatsoever. But what will be changing is the specs, and I'm pretty sure about that. So let's go ahead and talk about what specs we could be seeing with the Mini 3. I think that the biggest one right here, guys, not the biggest one, but a really important one for a lot of people, and that is active track. I think that is a must. People have been asking for this for a long time, and DJI has not given us this already. So active track will be fitted onto the Mini 3. I think there's no doubt about that. Also, I think obstacle avoidance will be fitted onto the Mini 2. I think at least forward obstacle avoidance. Now, will there be backward obstacle avoidance? I think that if DJI really wants to compete with the Sino Mini Pro, they need to go ahead and fit it backwards and front obstacle avoidance. I think it's a must, and for a lot of people, this is very important. Although that's just there as an extra safety feature, because you cannot always rely on your obstacle avoidance. You always need to be seeing where you're flying your drone, but it does help a lot, especially when you're first starting to learn to fly your drone. It gives you a lot of confidence, and I'll tell you that. Now, what other thing are we going to be seeing? I think definitely we're going to be seeing master shots on the Mini 3, which is the evolution of quick shots. I think there's no doubt about that. Also, I think a bigger sensor will most likely be happening. Now, with the Sino Mini Pro, we did saw an increase in the sensor size. It's a 1/1.7 inch sensor, which is a bit bigger over what we find over the sensor on the Mini 2, which I believe is a 1/2.3 inch sensor, which is really, really tiny. It's the same sensor that we find on the original Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro back in the day. Now, I think they're just going to go ahead and fit in the sensor that we find on the Osmo Pocket, the 1/1.7 inch sensor, which is really capable, and the quality that it gives is absolutely staggering and amazing. So I'm really looking forward to a bigger sensor, and I think DJI will be going for that. Now, are we going to be seeing a lower f-stop on the aperture? I don't know, guys. I don't think we're going to be seeing. I think DJI is going to stick with the f2.8, even though the Hopton Sino Mini Pro has a lower aperture. I think somewhere around the f1.8, 1.4, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, but it's definitely a much bigger aperture on the Sino Mini Pro. Now, I think we're going to be seeing better resolution, no doubt about that. I think 4K 60 will need to be happening with the Mini 3, and also the pictures. I think we need to see an upgrade there, guys. The Mini 2 is able to shoot 12 megapixel pictures. Are they bad? No, they're not bad. But I think DJI can do better, and especially after what we saw with the Sino Mini Pro, which is actually capable of shooting 48 megapixel images. Now, we do know they're not true 48 megapixel, just like what the Mavic Air does, which uses pixel binding, which takes a 12 megapixel picture and stitches it together to form a 48. Now, what kind of images can we expect on the Mini 3? I think 64 megapixels is what I will expect. Why am I even saying this? Aren't I crazy? No. And that is because if DJI is going to be fitting the sensor of the Osmo Pocket, which is capable of shooting 64 megapixel on the Osmo Pocket. I think DJI can definitely, without a doubt, fit 64 megapixel images onto the Mini 3. So I'm feeling pretty confident, and I think that with those 64 megapixel images, I think that's going to be more than enough competition over for the 48 megapixel images on the Sino Mini Pro. Now, let's talk about hyperlapse. Are we going to be seeing hyperlapse on the Mini 3? I personally don't think so. I think it's going to be left onto the mid-tier and the high-level tier DJI drones. I don't think this is going to be adding that feature. I think that's not going to be happening. Now, are we going to be getting an increased flight time? I think definitely we need to see an increase in flight. I think that is a must. Currently, the longest flight time on any DJI drone is the Mavic Air 2 with a flight time on paper of 34 minutes. Is that actually what you get? No, of course not. It's actually quite disappointing, I'm going to be honest with you. In real world scenario, I get around 18, on a good day 24, pushing it to the limit. So 18 to 24 minutes is the flight time on the Mavic Air 2. Now, that's the longest flight time on any DJI drone currently. Now, what is the flight time on the Mini 2? It's 31 minutes advertised. Now, you of course you don't get that. You get around 20 to 25 minutes of flight time in real world scenario. Now, what will the flight time be on the Mini 3? I think that it needs to be increased, guys. I think there's no doubt about it. We need to see an increase in flight. And I think for me at least, that's one of the two most important features on any drone, and that is flight time. We need to be able to stay in the air for longer. I think we need to see that. DJI, come on, please give us a longer flight time. I think DJI is going to be actually able to deliver that, especially after what Hobson did with the 40-minute flight time on their Sino Mini Pro, putting it right next to the Autolivo 2, which was the first drone to hit that 40-minute mark on paper. So I think on the Mini 3 we will be seeing, I will say somewhere between, I will put it somewhere conservative, between 37 I would say and 40 minutes. I think that's somewhere, I think DJI could achieve, no problem. And now let's finish off talking about transmission system. Are we going to be seeing DJI's latest transmission system on the Mini 3? I think that's a 50-50, guys. I think if DJI wants to keep on innovating and putting their latest stuff into their newest drones, even though it's the lowest on their lowest tier drone, I think they should put OxySync 3.0, which gives us 12-kilometer range as found on the Mavic Air 2S. I think that the transmission system is really way better and more smoother than what we find with OxySync 3.0, which is what we find on the Mini 2 and Air 2S, as well as the Mavic 2 Pro. So definitely, I'm looking towards and forwards to an OxySync 3.0 onto the Mini 3. I think DJI could definitely be fitting that, and I think that's something that could very well be happening. And let's finish off talking about price increase. Are we going to be seeing a price increase with the new Mini 3 from DJI? I think we will not, personally. Now, what does DJI previous drone launch patterns tell us? On the original Mini, it came out with a price of $399. Then we saw the Mini 2 with a price increase of around 20% onto the $449 mark. Now, are we going to be seeing a price increase on the Mini 3? Everything tells us yes, and I think if we're going to be seeing a price increase, I think the new price for the Mini 3 will be $499 for the base model and $649 for the Fly More combo. That's my prediction. Now, if Hobson is actually able to deliver, as I mentioned already, their drone with all of the specs that they promised and the price, which is $459 for the base version, I think DJI needs to keep the Mini 3 in the same price range which the current Mini 2 retails at, which is $449 for the base model and $599 for the Fly More combo. So those are the prices for the Mini 3. I'm definitely hoping that we do not see an increase. Please, DJI, don't give us an increase once again in price on the Mini 3. I think $449 is more than enough for this drone. Now, if you give us everything that we want and Hobson does not deliver what they have, I'm willing to pay that extra $50 for the new Mini 3, guys. So that's all of the predictions that I think will be happening with the Mini 3. I definitely I'm really looking forward to a Mini 3 happening this year. I think November of 2021 will be the date of the Mini 3, after we see the launch of the Mavic 3 in September or October of this year. So definitely looking forward to the Mini 3. Definitely could be happening, and I think that the possibilities are extremely likely. As soon as we have any more new info, leaks, specs, or anything regarding the Mini 3, we're going to keep you guys updated. You don't need to worry about it. That's going to wrap up today's video. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Drone Emotion, signing out.